Okay, so in this video, we will continue where we left off. I will go a little bit slower, okay, because I really want you guys to understand this chapter very well. Okay, this chapter is not a difficult chapter. Okay, trust me, it's really not a difficult chapter. It requires a little bit of perseverance, a little bit of determination. Okay, I know it can get tiring at times. It does. Okay, even for me, when I do it, I do get frustrated as well because the working sometimes get really very long. And sometimes when you make one mistake, it just gets very frustrating. Okay, but you just got to persevere on. You have to practice because, as they say, practice makes perfect, or rather, perfect practice makes perfect. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the first step, once we know that these are identities, what is identities? Identities means the left-hand side is equals to the right-hand side. So we can actually make comparison. Because the left-hand side is equals to the right-hand side, we can compare the coefficients, okay, of the x squared, the x, and the constants. So I'm just going to expand this because of a lack of space here, but of course we have the left-hand side, but I'm just going to focus on the expansion of this, all right? So I'm going to get a x minus 2 the whole thing squared is going to be of the form a minus b the whole thing squared. So it's a minus 2ab plus b squared. And I'm going to have a b, x plus 1, the whole thing cubed. We have actually done that earlier. It's basically this. So I'm just going to write down the expansion from that. X cubed minus 3 x squared plus 3x minus 1. Okay, and I'm going to have a plus c. Okay, so once I get here, I actually do not have to expand anymore. Okay, I just need to simplify whatever is inside. Okay, so here I'm going to get x minus 4x plus 4 plus b x cubed minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 1 plus c. I actually don't have to expand anymore. What I want to see is that I can see here that this is actually negative 2x squared. And how do I get x squared? Okay, the only possibility of me getting an x squared, oops, I forgot this thing over here is a square. Okay, the only possibility of me getting a square is if a times x squared, right? Because if I were to expand to any others, I realize that I do not get the x squared. So only a times x squared gives me ax squared. How about b? B times x cubed doesn't give me x squared. B times negative 3x squared gives me negative 3bx squared. If I multiply by any others, it doesn't give me what I want. Okay, so this I can factorize x squared out. I get a minus 3b is negative 2x squared. Can you see here that negative 2, therefore, negative 2 is equals to a minus 3b. I hope you can see that. Okay, let's change a different color. Now, how about negative 7? So negative 7x. Let's try to get this thing out. Okay, I know a times x squared doesn't give me x, but a times negative 4x gives me the x. So it's a, or rather negative 4ax. Over here, same thing, only b times x. Okay, b times 3x give me positive 3bx. Alright, and over here, I can factorize out the x again. I'll get negative 4a plus 3b is equals to negative 7x. So therefore, negative 7 is equals to negative 4a plus 3b. And actually over here, we can actually solve for a and b, correct? Because let me rewrite this so that it's a little bit clearer. A minus 3b is equals to negative 2. This is my equation 1. Over here, negative 4a plus 3b is equals to negative 7. So if I take equation 1 plus equation 2, okay, so I'm going to get a plus negative 4. A plus negative 4 gives me negative 3a. Negative 3 plus 3b is a 0 pair. Negative 2 plus negative 7 gives me negative 9. So therefore, a is equals to 3. If a is equal to 3, if I substitute back inside equation 1, 3 minus 3b is negative 2. Negative 3b is equals to negative 2 minus 3 gives me negative 5. So therefore, my b is 5 over 3. Okay, so I'm not quite done because I need to find out what is c. Now c is a constant, so let me change a different color. Let me choose purple. So I know that the constant on the left hand side is 3. Okay, so 3 is equals to what? Let's go back to here. A times 4, that's the only constant. So 4a, b times negative 1, so it's negative b plus c. Okay, will give me the constant. Do you know what's a? Yes, you do. You know what's a. Do you know what's b? Yes, you do as well. So a, you know what's b? So 3 is equals to 4 times a, which is 3, minus 5 over 3 plus c. So all we have to do is just solve for this equation and we'll get the answer. Okay, so let's finish this. 3 is equals to 12 minus 5 over 3 plus c. So 12 minus 5 over 3. So that is 10 and 1/3. So I get c is equals to 3 minus 10 and 1/3. So I'll get negative 7 and 1/3. Okay, so this is how I do this question over here. So it seems a little bit complicated, but just do it a little bit slower. My apologies, I seem to have a little bit of bad cough. Yeah, but just do it a little bit slower and you should be okay. Okay, so I'm not going to go too fast. The working looks a little bit lengthy, but for this kind of question, you just need to compare the left-hand side with the right-hand side. Form a simultaneous equation most of the time. Try to solve for it. Okay, so you don't have to expand everything out. Okay, let's do 2 more questions. Okay, let's try 5. Same thing here. I don't have to expand everything. I'm just going to expand these 2. I'm going to show you. Okay, so I'm going to use the rainbow method. X times x gives me x squared. X times negative 2, negative 2x. 1 times x gives me plus x. 1 times negative 2 gives me negative 2. This times ax plus b. And this, let's group all the like terms, is going to be negative x minus 2 ax plus b. Okay, and I know that this is going to be this. Okay, so I'm just going to compare the coefficients, right? Let's compare x cubed. So I know that x cubed is equals to, how do I get x cubed here? There's only one possibility, right? X squared times ax, that gives me ax cubed. That's the only possibility. So therefore, I know that this is actually a 1 in front of it, even though they don't write it. I know that a is equals to 1. Voila, so I've gotten the value of a. The next thing, let's figure out what is cx squared, right? So cx squared on the left-hand side, let's see which one gives us x squared. So I know x times b, so it's bx squared. Is there any other possibilities? I know that negative 2 times ax, so it's negative 2ax. My apologies. Nope, that doesn't give us x squared, right? The only possibility is negative x times ax, so it gives me negative ax squared. Okay, so I can factorize out the x squared to make it a bit clearer. So I get b minus a. So therefore, c is equals to b minus a. And we know, okay, we know what is a, right, from the above here. So it's just b minus 1. Okay, let's see which one is a little bit easier for us to notice, okay? How about the constant? The constant, I think, is quite simple. Okay, how do we get a constant? So I know that 6 would have to be equals to, there's really only one possibility. If you want a constant, it's just the negative 2 multiplied by another constant. Okay, so I know 6 is equals to negative 2b. So in this case, b divided by negative 2 on both sides is equals to negative 3. If you know what's b, then of course you know what's c. So it's negative 3 minus 1 gives me negative 4. Okay, so I know my a, I know my b, I know my c. So this is how you do this question. Relatively direct. Okay, like I said, don't rush through these questions. Do it slowly. After you watch it, do it yourself. Okay, if you haven't already done it. Okay, part B. So same thing. I'm just going to expand this side because of a little bit of space constraints. A square minus 2ab plus b squared plus bx minus 1 plus c. Okay? Compare coefficients time, x squared. So which one gives me x squared? Obviously, it's going to be ax squared. Over here, I do not get any more x squared, right? Because anything I multiply over here doesn't give me an x squared. Likewise, if I multiply this two, also it doesn't give me an x squared. So I know, therefore, a is equals to 1. Okay, so I know that a is equals to 1 over here. Okay, how about next one? Negative 2x. So if I have a negative 2x, I got to ask myself the same question. How do I get a coefficient of x? So a times negative 2x, negative 2ax. Here it's b times x plus bx. And is there any other ways? No, that's about it. So I can factorize out x, negative 2a plus b is equals to negative 2x. So therefore, negative 2 is equals to negative 2a plus b. Now we know what's a. Negative 2 is actually negative 2 times 1 plus b. I bring the negative 2 over. Negative 2 plus 2 is equals to b. So therefore, b is equals to 0. Okay, so we know that b is equal to 0. And lastly, let me change color. 5. So this is the constant. So I know that 5 is equals to a times the constant. So this is a plus b negative b plus c. Okay, but oops, please don't tell me everything is gone. Okay, everything is gone. But don't worry, let's just do it very quickly again. Okay, let's quickly expand this out. Ax squared minus 2ab plus b squared plus bx minus 1 plus c. So the first thing is we compare the x squared. This is ax squared, so therefore a is equals to 1. Next, we compare negative 2x, so which gives us negative 2x, negative 2ax. Over here, it's b times x plus bx. We factorize out x, negative 2a plus b is negative 2x. So therefore, negative 2 is equals to negative 2a plus b. We know that a is 1. So therefore, b, I'm going to bring the negative 2 over. It's negative 2 plus 2. That gives me 0. So next one, constant. Compare the constants. 5 is equals to a times 1. So it's a, b times negative 1, negative b plus c over here. And since I know a is 1, I know b is 0. I bring the 1 over. So it's 5 minus 1 is equals to c. c is equals to 4. Okay? So this is how you do this question. Okay, this is how you do this question. I know that I've given you the worksheet, or the teacher has given you a worksheet for the next worksheet. But I'm not going to go through that. I want you guys to spend some time on these questions, because trust me, this question will definitely come out for your WA2. So you got to really, really practice, get comfortable with it. Okay, for those of you who are a little bit lost as to how you compare the coefficients, how do you know if this times this is equals to x squared, for example? Then rewatch this many times, try to figure things out. Okay, take the next 10 minutes, the next 5 minutes to try to figure things out before the bell rings. Alright? And if you have any questions, just feel free to drop me a text. Okay, if not, I'll see you soon in school. Okay, bye bye.